Well, hello and welcome back to the Middlemen podcast, where this week we've got something a little bit special for you. We're going to talk Thai boxing, and we're joined by Jake Thirlaway from Houghton's Thai Boxing Academy. I got Max, as always, alongside me. And Jake, today our special guest. Great to have you on as a guest, so thank you for joining. And we can start with, Jake, what is it like owning a Thai boxing gym? What is your journey into Thai boxing? Because it's quite unusual.
Yeah, so essentially I started competing when I was like 15, 16. I'm 30 this year, so I'm about 15 years into my career. Um, I've like fought all around the country. I've fought abroad multiple times. I fought different disciplines. So I was like talking to my girlfriend last year about it all because I've coached like bits and pieces in the past and stuff, and I was like, I wouldn't mind giving it a bit of a crack because I'm getting a bit older, starting to hit the prime of me fighting career. And I thought like I've kind of got no risk now. Like I'm a homeowner and stuff, so like I just thought the time's right in a sense. So I put the feelers out. I've obviously got a massive network of people throughout my journey. Want to put something back into the local community because like within my area, there's no Thai boxing club, so to say. Like I travel through to Newcastle. I'm from Sunderland. So I know I've got the geographical area. I know kind of how to target my target audience and stuff. So I just kind of put the feelers out, and then about 8 people turned up to my first class, and then it's just basically went from there. I've reinvested the money in the kit. The people's continued to come through the door. I've been turning down business left, right, and centre for months, but I have been working full time whilst I've been running it. So it's been the case of like I work 12-hour shifts. So it's been the case of like getting up at 5 a.m. I do a couple of PTs or train. I'll go and do a 12-hour shift at work. And then on my days off, like today, I'm going to go through the gym. I'll train myself. I'll come back. I'll do PTs. I'll teach. And that's just basically been my life for the last 6 months. I've literally had to write in my diary when I see my girlfriend, like, but it's what makes us tick. I love it. And then it's getting to the point now where a couple of my friends come to one of my classes about a month ago, and there was an indefinite difference between like them and my lads, even though my lads have only been training a few months. And I just thought I'm gonna go for it. So I've released my timetable, and tomorrow was my last working day in my corporate job,
Wow.
and then I'm gonna go full time, trying to live the dream a little bit, like because they don't chase themselves.
Congratulations, mate, on the final day of full time work. Hopefully, no more kind of 12-hour shifts for you unless they are in the gym. But just tell me about, obviously, you come from being a fighter. As you said, you're in your kind of prime time years when you decided to make that choice into coaching. So, what is that like to kind of transition out of that? And then, as you said, you're still kind of training yourself now as well. What is it like to balance all that? Because, as you said, you've got so many factors going on around you right now.
Yeah, like I say, it's something that's not brand new. It was like I've done it in the past in the previous gym I was at before I moved to my Thai boxing gym. Um, and it's like kind of what that brings. So just to give you a couple of examples, like I had one of the lads right in the chat the other day, like he's a biggish lad. He was just like, "Oh, I've just put a pair of jeans on. I haven't been able to put on in the last 2 years." And then like I had one of the mums of like a 13-year-old lad that I'm coaching at the moment messages through the week, and she was like, I'm seeing such big improvements in within my son. Like I kind of help to thank you for what you're doing and stuff. And like that for me gives me more joy than going to my corporate job. So like all them aspects of coaching I love, and obviously like everything my coaches have done for me, it's like made me into the I am. All those experiences and stuff that I've got, like all that stored in there, no one will ever take that away from me. So I just wanna, like, I love this, and obviously you guys love what you do. I just wanna breed this onto everyone else in within my local area, you know.
Yeah, it's good to hear as well that there's somebody, although it's different professions and we're more in the kind of media side of the game, that is something that what you want, and when you realize that you want it, is something that you're willing to work kind of relentlessly on. And I think,
Yeah,
that's a factor within whatever discipline. As you said, we're not familiar with Muay Thai, but we can still understand that aspect. And I remember looking at your Instagram and saying that Muay Thai is kind of all about just connecting with like-minded people, and I think that all kind of combat sports can do that, and even in the media sides of the roles as well.
Absolutely.
How do you get the name out into the community, Jake? How do you spread the word about Thai boxing and Muay Thai? And it's a massive community sport for you. How do you get your name out there?
I mean, social media is like really good for that. Word of mouth as well. Like I say, the networking side of things is really good. I'm already like a household name within the martial arts community, if that makes sense. Like I know people all around the country, and like when I've started putting myself out there, I've had people reach out, people pick up the phone. Like anytime I've messaged promoters, like I don't need to sell myself. So like I can message like I've got a lad fighting on a show May 7th down near your way, down near Derby way in some hall. I can't remember exactly where the location's at. And like I messaged him and straight away he was just like on it, where like if I message some like random guy, they might not be as inclined to be as receptive with like matchmaking and stuff. So like I've already got the trust there, and I know like it's just a domino effect. So like once I get started, like say for an example, I had some people at a competition yesterday. Again, I'll just resurface everything that we've done, and then that just picks up traction, and then just like the process looks after itself in a sense.
And you said you started with 8 people. How many have you got in the gym now?
I've probably got about 30 to 35 lads at the minute in and out, not consistently. I would say my average class size is about 12, 11, 12, but I've got about 30 to 35. My projections here, I reckon my numbers are going to double within a month when I go full time. It's just like kids and women's only and beginners. I literally haven't had the time to do it, so I've got like a structured timetable now. And like I say, I have fought multiple disciplines myself, so I'm gonna breach out into that. I've predominantly been teaching Thai boxing, but I'm gonna be fighting like K1 style kickboxing and waist above kickboxing. So I'll be like grading kids, and it's just all the different avenues I can go down. In regards of revenue and in regards of like the club and the blueprint of the club, and see where we're going. I'm really excited.
Do you see that kind of, as you said, you're going to try and bring different disciplines into it, and say that the projections do increase in that you do see an increase in numbers. Do you see yourself kind of turning it into a franchise, or do you just want it to be a local thing and a local gym where you can spread all these different disciplines?
I mean, never say never, but April the 1st, I'm going to be like starting it all properly, so to say. But I am I'm located within a commercial gym at the moment, and I'm turning one of the rooms like into where we train. There's like a boxing ring and stuff in there we can use, and weights and stuff. So I'm working with a partner at the moment, and I'm just like renting his space. Like the mat fees kind of pay for the rent. But the next sort of 12 months, I'm going to be looking at getting my own unit with the growth of the club. Then that goes on to the next step. So like I'm getting involved within community projects. So Gloves Up, Knives Down's one of them. So if you guys are familiar with that. And then there's a young lad round our way doing one called the Mental Shift. So I was in a school with Kai last week, I think, in Wickham, and I was essentially went in and I taught like Thai boxing. It's like a treat for the kids. And then in a couple of weeks, I'm going to be working with Gloves Up, Knives Down. I'm just waiting for my DBS and stuff to get cleared. So I just kind of want to do what you said there by keeping it local as well as looking at the bigger picture, so to say.
Yeah, what you do with the community is really sort of admirable. Maybe not enough people do it. When you look at the big promoters, do you think that grassroots boxing and lower level boxing is sort of forgotten about, I suppose?
Yeah, in a sense. I mean, that's where it all starts, to be fair. I mean, one of the things that I don't benefit from, or we don't benefit from, or so should say, is like, so see you guys in the boxing world, you've got like England boxing and stuff, and like government grants and all that type of stuff's like easier to come by. Once you get a couple of lads with an England jersey on, you're laughing really. Where we kind of haven't got that, like Thai boxing and kickboxing and stuff's more of a hobbyist sport, like even at the higher level. So like I fight like, well, I'll be fighting A-class pro Thai boxing in June, but a pro boxer and a pro kickboxer, pro Thai boxer is kind of two different things. Like even though pro boxers still work and stuff, like once you kind of break on the scene as a pro boxer, you can really change your life, so to say. Pro Thai boxing is very much like, unless you're like kind of Liam Harrison, Jonathan Haggerty on one championship, like the gap's really big. So it is more of a hobbyist kind of love, but I guess that's kind of why I want to push it more. It all starts from grassroots, like you say.
And is it the dream and the kind of aim to have one of your boys go to, you know, one of those big promotions, as you mentioned, like train them up to maybe get them to break through upper tier ranks there? Or do you just get the kick out of, you know, the grassroots stuff, as Noah said, but even from taking a kid, as you were giving some examples earlier about whether they're losing weight or just changing their mentality, is that
Yeah.
where you kind of get your main reward from as a coach?
Absolutely. So I say to the lads all the time, I just want it to be 1% better every single day. Like, as long as they're walking out the door and they're a better person than what they were yesterday, my job's done. I've had a couple of times when I've said to the lads, like, if you want to compete, happy days. If you don't want to compete, happy days. I just want you in the gym and I want you happy. So like I just kind of breathe that ethos in the gym. Like I say, we had a competition yesterday and I had a couple of lads on who's gonna fight soon, and then I had a couple of people who's doing it for the crack. And then I had a few of the other lads watching it, and it was just nice to have the mix of everyone all together. I don't want like people coming in and feeling like they need to fight, but if you want to fight, absolutely, but be expecting to put the work in because that's how the cookie crumbles.
And how much of that is keeping kids off the street kind of thing as well? You mentioned the knife crime project, and how
Yeah.
conscious are you of the role you have in the community to keep people safe too?
Absolutely, mate. It's like massive. To be fair, like things like knife crime and stuff, like it seems to be crazy over the last few years. Like, so there's a couple of instances of where I live. There's a young boxer called Connor Brown, got stabbed in Sunderland City Centre a few years ago, and that was like really big in the local area. And then same again where I train in Houghton, just literally outside the gym, another young lad got stabbed. And to be fair, when I was young, like my brother taking me in the gym got me out of trouble because I was heading down the wrong paths in life, really. Like, but the gym like saved me. Um, but then like if I think back to when I was young and like what's going on now, it's like it's crazy to hear and see all these stories. So I definitely want to do my best on my personal experience as well as like what I'm hearing and seeing. So I'm gonna try and get involved with all these like schemes and like community projects and stuff, and I'm getting in touch with one of the local councillors in my area because the ones I'm doing like gloves up knives down's like down south, and then the one I done with Kai was like Gateshead way. I want to bring this where I am, so I want to shed it and spare it in a sense.
Do you think that there are enough, or there should be more of these kind of community projects in your areas? You said, you know, knife crime's so close to home now, and it's always on the rise. And you said knives down, gloves up. So I was going to say the wrong way around there, but as you said, that's more down south and more oriented there. So do you think there is enough to tackle and, you know, fight the good fight that you want to do? Do you reckon there's enough projects there to support that?
Like I think there should definitely be more. It's good to see such things as what you've mentioned there, but like I say, if I can try and do something myself, even if it costs me 1 hour of my time a week to put a free class on, I'm not bothered. I'll do that. Do you know what I mean? Like I'm doing my bit. There's loads of things I want to try and get involved with, but it's just all in a day's work. Um, I do like what they do. I just don't think there's enough of it.
Jake, how can we find you on social media and Instagram if people want to search for your boxing gym in Houghton? How can they do that?
Yeah, so if you just look for Houghton Thai Boxing Academy. That's like my gym I've started. And then, I mean, my profile is private, but if you look for my profile for Jake Thirlaway 93, but it's just more so me Houghton Thai Boxing Academy. That's where you'll see everything on there, and that's all public. That's like my story, the lads, their story, and then that's starting to grow.
Okay.
I just wanted to go into the kind of mind of a coach here as well, Jake, as you were saying that, you know, when you leave your full-time job, that the gym will be looking to get even more numbers, and, you know, you're closely connected with the lads that you have in the gym now. I guess you don't know the challenge yet because you haven't got it, but when you think the gym becomes more popular, how hard do you think it is going to be to stay in touch and, you know, really maintain the personal relationships that you have with each member coming in? Because, as you said, a lot of these guys just come in off the street, so you kind of, they almost need somebody to relate to and look up to inspire and motivate them.
Yeah, definitely. Like I say, a couple of the lads have like so I started about October, then December we all went for a couple of drinks, and bearing in mind there wasn't as many of us then as there is now. And at one point I was like just sitting listening to them all talk between themselves, and they were talking about the crack they have in classes and stuff, and I was just like, I've orchestrated all of this, and then like it's happening now. Like I'll walk in the room and there's like 2 and 3 positive conversations going on. I'm just like, I just have a minute and I'm just like, this is pretty cool. This like, but then the other day I had a few guys come in, a couple of new starters, and same again, the room's getting busier. And I kept forgetting one of these lads' names, and I kept on, because he's related to another guy who's got a similar name. So I forgot his name at first. Then I was calling him his cousin's name, and I was just like, oh, I'm having a mare. But like, it's just all part of the parcel of it. And the more he comes, the more regular it is. And then I'm giving someone a PT, and then I'm like, all right, Brian, all right, Ollie, all right, Jake, all right, Ben. They're all just walking through the door, and like each one of them, I am getting that connection. So I just want to kind of build it. I'm going to start with the kids in April, and then hopefully I can kind of nurture a couple of kids, watch them grow, and then I'll get the kids to work beside me, and then it just has that sort of domino effect in a sense.
Do you sort of wish you had someone like you when you were growing up? You said you had your brother, but it's clear that you're a mentor to the community now.
I mean, to be fair, like I'm in the position I'm in because of my coaches doing this to me and everything I've had. Like, say you guys are familiar in regards of like a boxing gym. It's exactly the same within kickboxing, martial arts. That ethos of like, it's almost like a little family. Like, if I think back over the 15 years I've had in a martial arts gym, like these guys have taught me more lessons in there than I ever learned in a school in regards of like myself, how to handle things. Like sometimes I'd finish, like say, I used to have one of my coaches, Carl. I used to like box with Carl all the time, and he just literally used to sit us on the boxing ring apron and he used to sit and talk about life and stuff. And I used to talk about all my stresses and struggles and putting a hand on my shoulder, and like people like that, like I kind of thank enough. Like my brother's always been by my side, like my current coaches, my old coaches. Like I'm now wanting to pass this on, as well as me doing this gets me more in the gym full time, which will then progress me more as a coach, as a fighter. So yeah, it's a long-term goal.
Okay.
How much does it feel like learning on the job for yourself? Obviously, you know, you're new to the coaching game in terms of having your own space and your own set of lads there. And as you said, it's getting to grips with their names and kind of getting used to them. So how much does it feel like you're learning on the job as well as a coach and having all these new experiences? Is it kind of as therapeutic as it used to be as a fighter?
Yeah, definitely. I mean, I still fight, but yeah, definitely. I think it kind of comes from when you do boxing, you've got the mentality of like you view things in a certain way and you analyze. And like one of the beautiful things I've got at the moment is majority of my lads are a blank slate. So I am starting with like everyone's kind of on the same wavelength, and I think that's helped me growth as well. There's not like 1 or 2 lads who's like really sharp and then the lads are feeling behind. They're all very similar. I have had 1 or 2 of them fight in the past, but that was years ago, and Thai boxing's new to them. So like everyone's like on the same footing, if that makes sense.
Yeah, for sure, it does. And finally, for me, before hopefully you stick around and we can talk a bit about more British boxing with Lawrence Okolie and co. Thai boxing is what you do. Do you think you're ever going to get involved with like Thailand itself? Like, are you going to
Yeah.
like get in touch with that culture?
Yeah, that's the next steps for me. Like my coaches have lived there and they fought there and stuff. I'm aware of the culture. I was meant to go a few years ago because the lads go from the gym every year, but I bought a house instead. Where I was saving to buy a house, and I bought a house. Then the pandemic hit, so next year's my hopefully like step for Thailand. I'll be opening a gym and going to Thailand. That'll be the goals for next year.
Yeah,
I think
that'll be
incredible. That'll be a great experience for you, Jake. And I think anyone kind of in that discipline should always go and kind of see the roots of the sport, I guess, and see where it all started. As you mentioned, that this would be my last one as well before we do move on to the boxing, by the way. But just speaking, as you said, you still fight. So what is that like as a competitive fighter to be able to juggle what you've got going on in the gym and being a new coach as well?
It's going to help me, if anything, because I'm getting to the level now, like, say, I'm going to be fighting A class. So, like, in Thai boxing, it's like N class, C class, B class, A class. And because I was kind of new to Thai, but I could already, like, kickbox at a high level, I kind of just went from there to there really quick. And like, because I'm there, I'm fighting lads that are like in the gym all the time. So with me working full time, I have a couple of days where I'm just in the gym flat out and then I'm at work. So like, it's very much like this, where now I'm just going to be living it and breathing it all of the time, which is going to progress me as a fighter. Coaching, sparring, everything's going to enhance more and more and more. So I'm looking forward to like where that goes, if that makes sense. So it's just all going to kind of click into place.
Have you got any news or any upcoming fights that you can share?
Yeah, so my coach puts on a show called Victory Promotions. That's like we're one of the biggest UK Muay Thai and K1 kickboxing shows. So I'm going to be fighting on that, and it's going to be my A-class debut, which is like my full pro debut on June the 3rd.
Well, best of luck with that, mate. We'll be watching with keen eyes.
We'll definitely catch up with you after that one, Jake. So thanks for that insight. Like, genuinely fascinating, and like I said, I think you're a real mentor and a real inspiration to a lot of people. And as a boxer, as an athlete, you know all about ring rust. So let's talk about Lawrence Okolie, who said that he suffered from a bit of ring rust on the weekend when he beat David Light on points. But it was a dull and scrappy fight. People left early, which I never understand. I never understand in football. I never understand in boxing. Why would you leave a fight early when in boxing literally anything can happen at the flick of a switch? So people booed, left early. He said he's been out of the year ring. He couldn't get any rhythm going. I think he rated himself a 5 out of 10. It wasn't just a case of ring rust, and that was why he was so poor against David Light.
To be fair, so I didn't watch the whole fight from start to finish. I've only seen the highlights just due to how busy I've been. When I was watching it, from what I took for it and what I've seen and read as well, because I have people said what a boring fight, etc. When you're watching it and you analyze it, you might find it from an entertainment point of view quite boring, but what he's doing in there is really, really clever. Setting up that right hand, them little steps back, all those tiny little minute details, probably me as a coach or you guys as fighters or someone who competes understands. I think someone who sits and drinks a beer and wants to watch someone get knocked out, they don't find that entertaining as much. So the perspective of it's so different depending who you ask. Yes, I get what you're saying, ring rust, and he rates himself a 5 out of 10, but what he's doing in there is still really good, if that makes any sense.
It does, Max. What are your thoughts? I mean, David Light's a tough opponent, actually.
Yeah, and I think there is kind of two sides to it, as Jake said. From an entertainment standpoint, it couldn't really get any worse for him. But as Jake said, with his plan, what he executed and what he actually done in there was technically sound and was done really well. I didn't see much progression or development from him. Especially now being with Sugar Hill Stewart, I expected maybe for him to bring in that Kronk style that would be able to possibly get a finish over Light, but he did nullify Light's offense throughout the fight and was able to keep him at bay for most of it. And it's a shame that there isn't more kind of fans of boxing that understand the technicalities that go into it, because if they were, then they'd be able to appreciate that fight a lot more. But of course, if it's, as Jake said, with guys who just sit on the sofa, drink a beer, or even want to just go and watch some boxing in there, they want to see something happen. They want to see, especially at cruiserweight, you hear cruiserweight champions fighting. You want to see the big punches come in and the ones that will send their opponents to the canvas. And that is pretty much the only thing that's lacking in Okolie's game. I didn't see too much shot variety, so I think those are two things he can definitely work on. But I think from entertainment point of view, it can and it has to only get better from here.
And I'm sure it will. If you sit on the sofa, you'd probably want to see him fight Richard Riakporhe. I think it's more likely he fights Badou Jack for the unification, isn't it? Really. Although I think Riakporhe would be a tougher fight than Badou Jack. Maybe that's why he wants Jack and not Riakporhe. What do you think, Jake? What's next for Lawrence Okolie?
I would say Badou Jack, and to be fair, for some of the people that might not know, he's more of the household name as well. So I think it'll sell a little bit better. And then when you put a title in the mix, you know that changes things again. So, and he might look at it and think, I need to improve, or he might listen to the people that are talking bad about him, and then he might next time, like I say, change his shot variety. He might try and be a bit more aggressive. There's things you can do and it can adapt. Stakes are higher, isn't it?
Yeah, there's.
And it's definitely harder against the likes of Badu Jack, who we saw on his last fight was very offensive, very aggressive, and did get that finish over Makabu to become a three-weight world champion, sorry. Yeah, a great fighter, but do you think that's going to sell more than a fight with Riakporhe would, Jake? Because obviously Riakporhe is probably the second best cruiserweight in Britain right now, and I think that's a huge fight. That would sell here in somewhere like Wembley or maybe closer to one of their homes.
Yeah, I mean, it's one of those. It's like if he doesn't perform in regards of if he doesn't win, or if he doesn't perform in regards of his performance upscales, people might not want to watch him fight. So like the stakes are higher regardless. I think in the situation of when he's just like, I thought what he'd done on the weekend was great, but like I say, from an entertainment standpoint, like how is that going to sell tickets? Do you know what I mean? All these things come into the mix, and everyone looks at it that way as well. So you would expect fireworks.
Okay, let's move on to Fraser Clark. Another very easy night in the Manchester Arena for Fraser. Took out Bogdan Dinu in 2 rounds. Bit of a weird fight. Bogdan Dinu's a decent fighter. He's fought Kubrat Pulev and Daniel Dubois. A weird fight because Dinu broke his ribs when throwing a punch, and Clark got a cut in the first round. So it was a fight of technicalities, really, and it ended when Dinu broke his rib. On Fraser Clark, obviously that was a pretty easy night of work for him. Where does he stand in heavyweight boxing? He's a bit of an anomaly, isn't he, really? Because he's almost not at the level to fight a real big boy yet, but he's definitely proven that he's better than any of the lower division fighters.
Yeah, I mean, I think every time I see Fraser, he's definitely improving. Like, even I thought like his body shape and stuff was looking a little bit different. He's got that GB like behind him. But I noticed when he was punching, like he was punching with an intent. You could hear it, you could see it, you could read the guy's body language. Like, and when he sat down between rounds, his coach went to go and say something. He didn't even communicate with him. He went to go and put his water in his mouth, and he just like turned away. And I was like, he's done. And then you could hear him say, nah. But like, I bet he clears a Clark and Cloud. So I think Fabio Wardley will be a nice fight. I know he was shouting about him.
He was.
Get him on the domestic level, British title fight or something like that. Don't know, but be very interesting to see what happens with Fraser Clark.
Is that the next step up, Max? A British title for Fraser?
I think so. Yeah, I think Wardley is the greatest shout when you're looking at the competition that is available there for Clark. I think that's the best one he can go to, and it's the step up that he needs. He has to step up sooner or later. And when he did sign to Sky Sports and Boxer with Ben Shalom, they had a 5-fight step plan to scale him up the rankings, and that's been a lot slower than what was kind of promised to him and promised to us when he started his pro career. So it'll be interesting to see when that step up comes, and I would love it to see against Fabio Wardley, but I think I'd have to agree with Jake there as well. He's definitely improving, and he's showing he can only beat who's being put in front of him. It's not necessarily his fault that he hasn't got the likes of Fabio Wardley and other British competition yet. So he goes in there and does a job on who's in front of him, and as you said, proves that he's far above the competition that he's being put in with now.
Well, yeah, age is definitely against Fraser Clark as well, and that doesn't help either. Let's round off the podcast with a second loss for Caleb Plant in 2 years. It was that super middleweight fight for the WBC interim belt, wasn't it, against David Benavidez, and it was a unanimous decision for Benavidez at MSG. He's known for slow starts. That's exactly how he started. He just worked very slowly on Plant, took a lot of damage, and then the 5th round onwards sort of just went for it with the power that we all know he has, and that's what swung the fight his way. Caleb Plant, where does he stand now, Jake?
Like, to be fair, his performance was good. It's just he was second best. Like, fast punches, punches and bunches, combination punches, power punches. He was working quite well, but like at one point he was trying to sit on his chest, but it just wasn't working. And like I see, as the fight went on, he was losing the rounds. Yes, he was trying to be in the fight, but he was still losing the rounds, and there was kind of no plan B. I don't know what was going on there, but it was entertaining, like. But I don't know what's next for him. Like, it would be interesting. However, like, his performance was still good, so it's a bit of a weird one to analyze.
And Max, what did you make of that fight? If the Plant just wasn't really at the races, and I mean, people were saying, why didn't his corner pull him out?
Yeah, no, I think he's very competitive, especially in the first half of the fight. He's winning the first half of the fight. It was just a case of Benavidez won it more convincingly in the second half of the fight. And yeah, Jake echoing, everything that he'd done well in that fight. He's every round he won, he was first to the punch. Fast combinations, and offensively he looked at his best. I haven't seen him, the way he level changed, went to the body, then came upstairs with spite, with fast punches and good combinations. But tried to infight with Benavidez, who has short counter punches with absolute power. So it's exactly the thing that you don't want to do against somebody who has those strengths. So I think he kind of set himself up for failure a little bit, and he definitely did fade later on in the fight. And every time he just tried to infight with Benavidez, yeah, he got hit with some big shots. And but fair play to him, he's a warrior. He took those on the chin. He's got a great chin, and he was hurt a lot of the times through the fight. Did what he needed to do. Tied up a lot of the time. Kenny Bayless intervened a bit too much at times, but I think, yeah, still a great performance, and still proves that he's a top contender there. Benavidez just edging it, and obviously Benavidez calling for Canelo now, but I think the way he looked at the start of the fight, Canelo will not let him off that easily if he lacks that much defense in a fight of that magnitude.
Yeah, we'll see what happens there. I really appreciate Jake's time, and I'm very wary that he's got his day off today as well. So we'll round things up there. Next week we can definitely talk about Fury Usyk and the collapse of that one. But Jake, thank you so much for coming on. Really appreciate it, and we'll follow your journey, and we'll catch up with you soon.
No worries, man. Keep it easy, boys.
Yeah. Cheers, Jake and Max. Pleasure as always.
Yeah,
cheers.
Pleasure, Noah. Once again, Jake, thank you for coming on. Really fighting the good fight within your community, and yeah, just doing great things up where you're from. So long may that continue, and enjoy no longer having to work a full-time 12-hour shifts as well.
Cheers, man. Respect, bro. Keep it easy.